like to welcome Kristy Lammers or Lammers Ag to the program today. Kristy, would you tell us a little bit about Kristy and about Lammers Ag?
Yes, I'm again Kristy Lammers with Lammers Ag. We are a channel dealer in north central Iowa, do scouting as well as treating of our soybeans. So that's primarily what we focus on here. A lot of trials in the field, and obviously we're a lot of boots on the ground scouting.
So today we're going to talk about LeafTech Ag, and we have John and Michael with LeafTech here. John, would you tell us the story behind LeafTech Ag, and what problems in agriculture were you looking to solve with the technology behind it?
Sure. First up, thank you. I'm John Mascoe with LeafTech Ag. I'm the co-founder and CEO of LeafTech. We founded this company with actually two of my children. We have a generational farming background. And my kids are fifth generation. And I've been in precision technology since 1996. So we've been able to experience all of the excitement and heartbreak of bringing technology to the market, from sensing below and above the ground for targeted nutrient and targeted management of crops. And so that's kind of where our journey has taken us, is that we found that one of the lacking pieces is information of what's happening with the crop in the field in real time. And so what we've done about 4 years ago, we looked at some different methodologies and technologies, and my son, daughter, and I came up with a hyperspectral sensor that allows us to determine nutrient content and other crop characteristics in near real time, so that we can sample a plant without destroying it, so we can go back and measure what the effects are from a previous treatment or how to manage it across it. And we can quantify that so that we can take the non-destructive way of measuring and then georeferencing that location in the field that allows us to really target and delivering what the plant needs where it needs it at. And so that's what the journey we've been on the last several years is, perfecting that in the delivery method, and then also integrating with other geospatial softwares that allows us to target zones and generate zone targets, and then also apply those nutrients where needed.
Michael, tell us a little bit about LeafTech Ag and what stands out as a game changer innovation there, and a little bit about yourself as well.
Well, thanks for having us today to visit about the LeafTech technology. I'm Michael Musselman. I work with NewFields Ag as one of the owners. And this is a unique technology that we brought in our company to help both our resellers and our sales reps provide a more consultative approach to how we do crop production. So I met John a couple of years ago at the farm show, immediately saw the value that his technology is providing. And so have spent some time with John, working through how to bring it to our company, bring it to our customers, and ultimately bring it to a business like Kristy's, where you have someone who is really helping farmers move ahead in their production. And so we see this technology as one of the next level pieces to provide timely, targeted information to a farmer so that they can make a better decision for themselves with the help of their suppliers, and really dig in deeper. A lot of agronomists or suppliers to farmers go to the field during the growing season and do some scouting. And the old way of doing the leaf tissue sampling is to take that leaf tissue and send it into the lab. And this technology lets you make that assessment right in the field. And so along with taking a shovel to dig roots and look below the ground, we've got an opportunity with this new technology that's been out a couple of years now to do some above ground work and tie those metrics together.
For those unfamiliar with plant analysis, how does LeafTech Ag's mobile lab technology improve upon traditional methods?
Sure. Traditionally, what generally happens with the tissue sample is you'll go out into a field and you'll collect a composite from various areas. And what I mean by composite is you'll go out and collect 15 to 20 leaves, put it in a bag, tag it, and then you'll walk to another part of the field and do the same thing. So you'll get 2, maybe 3 composite samples from that field, and then you'll bag it, tag it, send it to the lab, and wait. And that waiting period is about 3 to 5 days before you get a nutrient profile of that composite sample. So in those 2 areas or 3 areas of the field that you collected, you'll get an answer that it's either sufficient or insufficient based upon the recommendations from that lab. What we do that is different is we can go into that field with just a little bit more time, probably about 15% more time of while you're walking to those parts in the field, you can be scanning. And what we have done is we have the scanner will take about 7 to 10 seconds to capture an image of a plant, of a leaf, and then it will push it up to the cloud and process it and give you in less than 3 minutes what the nutrient content of that specific scan is. So as you're walking through the field, you are able to scan as much as you want through that field, and you'll wind up with about, if you want to compare a 50-acre field, you'll get 2 sample points from traditional that you have to bag, tag, and wait, versus what we're doing is that we're collecting 95 to 100 data points within the field. And so that by the time you reach the end of that field, you have every scan processed and gives you the results that are geo-referenced, that you can see what's happening and that if the nutrients are bioavailable. And the difference is 3 to 5 days to wait versus 3 to 5 minutes. And that is very powerful because we can meet the needs of that crop right then and there with a application map through the integration of the crop management softwares that we're working with.
How are you planning, Kristy, on using this technology for your customers out there and going forward this year?
So we, are out on the field all season long, which is great, but not just one time, 3, 4 times in all of those fields. So what I see is, number one, I'll be the one. We'll have 3 vehicles out, scouting with 4 of us. Gals that'll be out, doing the emergence right from the get-go. But I'm going to own this machine this season so that I get a really good handle on, what it all does for our customers. But the whole thing for me was how do we help our customers be better? How do we help with ROI? What kind of smart decisions can we have them make before it's too late if we can? So I'm very excited for this. If we wouldn't be a dealership that was as aggressive as we are scouting to our customers, this wouldn't be something that I probably would have even ran across. But the fact that we are out there as much as we are, I was so interested in it last year, and I didn't get on that as fast as I should have, but so excited to bring it to Lammers Ag and to our customers this year, because I really feel like with, obviously with the markets and what we're all facing here in the next year or 2, or hopefully less than that, but maybe beyond that, as ag always goes up and down with issues and just challenges that we always see, right? We need to be that partner with our customers that can help them. That's all I want. I always look to say, hey, who can Lammers Ag partner with to help our customers? So I'm really interested, and excited for this to be something that we offer our customers, to better their ROI and just management in general. It's hard, so one of the things maybe, John, I wanted to throw, this is a question that I'll throw back to you or Michael, sure. Is one of the questions that I had right off the get-go is when I talked with my channel agronomist, his question was, how are they marketing these, nutrients? So, is it something that, like, for instance, what are we basing that off so that a customer feels like that's, pretty accurate to what their plans are, if I'm saying that right?
Basically, if I'm hearing you correctly, we give a value that is comparable to a tissue analysis, a industry accepted tissue analysis, and the sufficiency levels are based upon something. whether it's an individual lab, university, or whatever those are. And what we've done with our technology is that we've taken that information and we developed models because we're measuring the spectral signature of each nutrient. And so we know what those values are. And we have to compare the values to what the laboratories have said. And so we have compared, we took samples, thousands of scans and hundreds of lab samples with various labs. Our originals were based upon the average of 3 labs. Now this year, we're improving that to expand the number of labs that we're working with. And we're finding out that not all labs are equal. We can send the exact same sample into a lab and they'll vary. And so what we have done is that we're picking the most consistent labs with the least amount of variability that we improve our model upon. And so our model will give the exact same results as far as percent nitrogen, potash, phosphorus, and all the micros, because we measure 11 plus that are coming out. And so the way our system is set up is that we are consistent. Our values will not vary by more than a single digit variance, which is what we have to do, is to give a consistent result. I call our technology the Ronald Reagan of ag tech. We trust, but we verify. We trust that the nutrients are there because we put them, but we're verifying because of the plant is telling us what it is. So in order to make the decision making easier, we have implemented the ability for the user to put their sufficiency levels in. So you can use a university, a reference, or a lab to set your standards of what values you believe are adequate. And then the software takes those values and compares it to what your results are. So you get a very quick result of graphically, you can see, am I in that sufficiency zone? And because there are so many sufficiency tables out there, because we have high yield people, we have universities, we have laboratories that give their recommendations, we make it so that the user has the ability to adjust it to their specific goals. And so that's why we're saying is that we aren't the arbiter of who's right. We are the arbiter of giving the information that is consistent based upon your inputs. So the crop consultants to the grower are, let's agree upon what our ranges are going to be. We can reference many different tables, but let's come up with our goals. Mm-hmm. And then we start learning a lot more. Our technology, because we can go back and read that same leaf in the exact same location, we can see, did we make an incremental change? Are we directionally correct with our management practices? And if not, we can adjust in real time. So that, I hope that answered the question, is that's the value to the grower and to the crop consultants, is that we improve the return on time because we are taking that data and getting back to you in a time frame that you can actually do something about it and measure the differences and changes with it. And with that timeliness of being able to do that, you get an increased return on inputs. The ROI becomes very apparent, as it's kind of like a immediate gratification to verify that you're getting the return that you're working with it. So long-winded answer to a question, but I hope it would give a little more explanation of why it is so important for that real-time information based upon the data that the plant is telling us that it's getting from the soil.
Yeah, and that's what I was curious, because, a lot of guys are like, okay, Iowa State obviously is big here and everybody has that, or, whatever lab we would try to, use as our base guide. That's a great answer, because I know that'll come up with a lot of our customers here at Lammers Ag, is like, well, where is this coming from? So
to add to that, what I'm finding out is, I'm an agronomist, 25 plus years in the field, and this has caused me to rethink everything I thought I knew.
Okay.
Because
and why is that?
Well, because the plants don't act like I was taught. And the values that I assumed, or that we were taught that they were supposed to uptake. What is the nutrient holding capacity of this corn plant? We really don't know, because we've had to kill it to find out what was in it. And now, which we did some research this last year, that we measured every leaf on every plant. We took a thousandth of an acre, and just like and measured all the way through the growing season, and none of the plants responded the same. They had different, the emergence happens. And so it's causing more questions than answers initially. So it's saying, do we have the correct nutrient use curve for these? And so we're learning that during these conditions and how we're managing it, that's what's really fun. And also, just like it's a reality check. And so that's what we like. That's what I said. I'm having to forget and relearn. What are the most important components? Do we have the correct ratios? Can we respond to this more quickly? And the immediate gratification is I sprayed boron, zinc, and whatever. Did the plant take it up, and did I give a good response? Because as you know, through crop consulting, we know that we planted the potential of that plant in the seed. And every day after that, the potential goes down. And we're trying to preserve the potential as we go through the growing season. That's what our job is to help maintain that crop's potential. And by getting the immediate information, it allows us to measure and not stress it so it can maintain that potential.
Okay, that's great. I have another question right off the top of my head, so I'm just going to ask you. I'm thinking about it. Either one of you want to answer, but so myself as being out there with the scanner, what is the optimal time? So my customers will hear this. What are some things that in the past, maybe Michael or you, John, customers would call and say something looks weird or something's not right, or do we need to get ahead of before that? Curious, because they'll listen to this and then they'll be calling me this season, which is great.
I'm going to answer that in two prongs. Number one is that, and then Michael can chime in with it. Number one is about consistency. Is if you're going to be in that field on the morning, measure in the morning, because a plant's ability to move nutrients is dependent upon stress, time of day, and it's going to change over the time of day. So if you're doing a program, which I highly would recommend, is consistency. We're going to go on degree days or so many days after planting. Just check it at the same time of day. And we're trying to minimize the variance, the variability of data collection, because plants are dynamic. Mother Nature loves to throw us curveballs. And if it's dry out and it's drouthy, we're not going to move a lot of nutrients until we get some water. We just need to know that. So that's number one. And then if you're looking at something, the reason you go with a program of every 10 days or just a program is that you want to get ahead. Once you see the damage, it's too late. It's not too late, but your ability to mitigate it is diminished. And so what we're trying to do is get ahead and track what's going on in that field so that we can get ahead of it before we can see it. With disease, with nutrients, with diseases, and with other characteristics of that plant, once we see it with our naked eye, generally we've already lost our potential by a percentage. And so that's what's important, is that we want to deal with it before we can see it.
Okay.
Michael, you want to add any of that? Or
so when going out to scout the crop, there's many reasons that people want to go to the field or not go to the field also, but let's assume we're going to the field for good purpose here. Even during the growing season, when the corn's tasseled and we go out there and we have to fight those leaves cut in our face, right? And so the timing to do this, if you're going to do a program where it's maybe a 2-3 pass scouting system, can settle into some key areas ahead of the passes that you're already going to go out there for. So currently we're going to do generally a chemistry pass, right? A post-chemistry pass. And so when we do that post-chemistry pass, we can add things to that chemistry pass in order to affect the crop and or the soil. So, when we look at making changes to the crop in season, we always want to first look for that free ride when that machine's going over the field. So targeting those free ride times with a chemistry, with a micronutrient pass that's maybe already that we're looking at. And then those critical times like the fungicide pass. And, it's interesting. In some cases, I'm here in Central Illinois. We've had some two-pass fungicide types of situations in the past 2 to 3 years that in some cases have paid off. And so when I look, when I look at that, I'm saying let's test right ahead of those passes and see what we can potentially affect. And then, excuse me, you're going to have the other times where that customer is going to, so it's being proactive, right? So then the other times you're going to go in the field is when someone perceives that they have a problem or they're concerned based upon historical patterns in that field, based on what they've seen maybe when we get into dry times versus wet times. And so with that, I think the farmers will be interested in having some assessment scouting done for problems that they see that are coming up. So that's when you go in and you dig into those areas that may be problematic and you do some testing in there and you say, what potentially do we need to do to fix those things? And, some of this can have to do with micronutrient applications. It could be to apply biologicals, and it could be to maybe put on something like nitrogen, phosphorus, or potassium, both in a side dress situation. And so there's some things I think we're going to learn over time with side dressing where we decide, is that a 20 unit, a 30 unit, a 50 unit pass? And, we get these 2, 4, 6, 8-inch rains sometimes now where you thought that you had enough nitrogen out there. And, but how did you know you're going to get 2 8-inch rains, right? Before that or after that, if we're going to apply with some Y drops. So just being able to assess rather than guess is the critical piece here, and to do it very quickly.
Do you actually have an example, real world example of a farmer who's used LeafTech Ag and saw measurable improvements in yield, efficiency, or cost savings, as well as how quickly, they're always going to ask, how fast are they going to see results from making nutrition adjustments based on LeafTech's Ag data?
I've got a couple different ones we had this past year. Number one is that we had one of our crop consultants go out and do a sampling on July the 1st, and they identified nutrient deficiencies and stress, and they converted it from deficiency to stress to say that this field was under stress. They addressed the shortages of nutrients. 24 days later, they went back and tested that field again. They had reduced the stress by about 34%. They quantified it in that way. And then all of that stress reduction came back into $144 per acre return by knowing what was going on in the field, addressing it in a timely fashion, and then coming back and having a measurable difference between that as they measured in a stress, which correlated in a 34% reduction and $144 per acre return over that management practice. We didn't cost $144 to implement that. And so that's where that targeted nutrient application worked. The other example is we're working with Dairy Farmers of America, and we have some dairy farms that are in some high nitrate areas up in New York. And so prior to putting on his last pass of nitrogen, he went out and sampled that field, and it came back that we were sufficient enough nitrogen to get us through the end of the season. He did not apply $60 worth of nitrogen to those fields. $60 per acre. Yeah. Did we cost $60 to do? No. But he also did two things with it. He verified that he did not need nitrogen. He did not add to the load of nitrates in the soil because of a high nitrate area. And he was able to take that $60 and apply it to additional fungicide that he may not have been able to afford to do. And so he was able to do it sooner, because he didn't have to take the 3 or 4 days to apply side dress nitrogen. He was able to be timely with getting it the applications of the fungicide. Did it pay off? Yes. So we maintained yield and actually improved it by not applying nitrogen. His return on time was shifted over to fungicide rather than nutrient. So we verified that piece of it. So those are two instances, and we have several other as far as we're putting the nutrient where the crop is. And that is really important, that we are able to justify and verify that we are doing the 4 R's to its most potential. The right nutrient, the right amount, the right location, and the right time. So we're actually able to make it simple, timely, and targeted in applying that. And so the return on investment, you bet we can hit it by targeting what needs to be there. The return on time is the time in the field has a quicker payback because you're in the field and you can do something that's active immediately. So instead of waiting and hoping, we are able to address that deficiencies in a timely fashion and then measure the effects of it soon after that we got it right. So we're covering two different areas: return on time, which I think is really overlooked, and return on investment, that we're putting the dollars where they matter. And because we have enough data points in the field, that's really important. And we're better utilizing the resources of applicators. Can they variable rate, or can they better utilize the tools that they have more efficiently? So I feel like we hit it on 3 different areas. On return on investment is one of them.
So John, those are great examples, you know, in terms of some of the different situations for us. I'm thinking in particular of one 6,000 acre farmer who went ahead and saw the value of doing the hardware as a service subscription just for his farm. And I think this year he's also going to implement it with some of his customers, just like Kristy is. But this particular farm is maybe a little more diverse farm in some of their crops besides just corn and soy. And this farmer was very quick to say, I can see the value. He takes between 1,000 and 1,500 leaf tissue samples on his own farm, and he's been sending them in to the labs and paying the lab fees. So when we come with a solution where he says, listen, for a similar amount of money, potentially less, he can have that lab in his hand when he goes to the field and take those samples and get these results instead of sending them off. And then the fact that he can take more samples if he wants in the field, right? Because it's one of those things where we can take a lot of samples and do it very quickly and easily. For this farmer, it was a great ROI, and he's repurchased. And he's actually been out talking to his customers, say, for instance, a high yield customer, about how they may implement that with his operation. And so I think those are important metrics to look at. The other piece is with this, with this technology from an ROI standpoint. So if we think about soil sampling in the past, dads or grandpas used to do 1 sample per 40 acres or a field to get started. And then we went to a few samples because we're like, well, maybe over there it's a little different than over here. And then we came out with this 10 acre, 5 acre, 2.5 acre grid sampling type of metric. And then we've got into management zones, whether that's a soil type by management zone, whether that's a Varus management zone or an EM machine management zone, and so forth. So we've moved into zone management. And, farmers are accustomed to maybe on a 2 to 4 year cycle paying anywhere from $6 to $8 to $10 for soil sampling. If you average that's in that $1.50 to $2, sometimes $3 an acre per year type of thing. So where we've gone with leaf tissue sampling is most farmers don't leaf tissue sample. Just like 40 years ago, most farmers didn't soil sample, or 50 or 60 years ago. And so what the LeafTech technology is allowing us to do, based upon the ease and the quickness and the pricing, is to get much more dense sampling much more timely and consistent sampling. And it also can help us be in that similar pricing, or maybe even less potentially, than what we spend on soil sampling on a 2 or 3 year cycle. So we really think that farmers will begin to add this in as a metric to see what the crop's doing based upon the things that they've done to the soil. And so seeing, fertility is not necessarily what's in our soil. Fertility is how the crop responds to all the factors that are going on in the soil and with what we do to it and so forth. So I see this as a next step for improving ROI for the farmer by giving them more information to make that decision on what's actually happening with the crop.
I'm going to add to Michael's conversation there a little bit and saying what we're facilitating is a plant-based management zone, because what the plant is able to take up from the soil is more important than actually what's in the soil, because we have fertilized so much over the years that what we're able to do is get high density plant-based data that says, is the soil delivering to the plant what it needs when it needs it? And so with this methodology, we can start looking at using that plant-based management zones to start target sampling. I'm convincing myself, I guess, that fertility may not be the biggest problem. It may be that the biologicals in the soil aren't releasing the nutrients to the plant. And so being able to look at the plant-based zones that can be created and are created, it allows us to target sample those areas to say, okay, this area, maybe we need more biological knowledge base here rather than chemistry. So it's the biology of farming, targeted biological farming versus chemical farming. And everything has to work in balance. And so that's what I'm seeing we've done over 100,000 scans across 28 states. And when I start looking at the data, I think we have the ability to start really looking at more targeted zone sampling of the soil structure and to identify it may not be nutrient, it may be biological that we really need to be taking a look at and testing for in conjunction. So building on what Michael said is just plant-based management zones is probably where we're going to go towards, because if we don't get it right, the plant's going to tell us.
So I have a question for you guys as far as the maps or what I can share with customers when I get that data. Is that something that, is easy for them to read? I know you talked about, John, and I talked with Jeremy about, different platform for us to be able to put all of it together. I mean, how we scout with our customers through channel is we always send out a report every Friday to our customers. If we were on their field, they get exactly where, and pictures and notes, and anything that's out there, whether it's us or competitive, good or bad, we're showing it. So, is that something I can attach or have Haley, my agronomist, attach with that report as a PDF?
Sure. What we have is
I can text a guy,
Yeah. What we're set up to do this year is two different ways. Number one is that within the LeafTech Ag platform, we have a sufficiency report. If you tell us, we ask that you provide us, or we will work with you to come up with a sufficiency table. Okay. And then once that's incorporated into the reporting system, you will have a quick sufficiency report that says, here's the graphical representation of a single scan or an average of multiple scans for the field. You can do it by zone. You have the ability to sort and sort these out. The other thing is that we have an easy export that you can take these data points and push into a crop management software. It sounds like you're using. We have partnered with Fieldalytics, and we have taken literally ownership of the process to take that data, put into Fieldalytics, where it will then create a sufficiency zone maps. And if you have the right products and you know what products you would use to mitigate that, it can create a prescription and an application map through Fieldalytics. We are we want to be intimately involved and knowledgeable about the crop management softwares that we work with. Field Analytics is the first one. We'll be working with others because I know there's hundreds, several of them out there, and it just depends. We can easily import via shapefile or a CSV file for the data points, but none of the softwares that I'm looking at and working with understand how to use real-time tissue analysis. So we have to understand how to move that into their platform, trick it a little bit initially, but as we start working with the crop management software companies, that integration will eventually be pretty seamless. But right now, we want to make sure it gets imported correctly and that our team supports it. And that's one of the biggest things that we've learned through the years of multiple technology companies that I've worked for. Customer support is our very starting point. So we need to understand that customers can call us and we can support it from end to end and train it and make sure it's working well. So a little caveat there, but yeah, crop management software reporting, we've made it easy enough that you can send a report. When you hit the edge of the field, you can select what you want that data to look like as far as zones or a single average of a zone. You can send that out as a PDF to yourself and you can email it to the customer as a really cool report, or import it into a crop management software. Field Analytics, we have it so that it generates a report in just a few minutes.
Okay.
But we partner. That's our biggest thing is we know our sandbox really well, but we partner with people with their systems to make it integrated because nobody cares what the number means. They just, what do I do? Is it good or bad? And do I do something about it? And that's what our jobs are, because our growers are spending so much time trying to manage a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
They don't want to sit there and look at a number and go, well, what does this mean? They want us to, with a reasonable ability to say, we're a trusted advisor. We're a trusted person that's working with you. We have a vested interest in your success. And we're a key and a component of that success for you because we're here to serve them. At the end of the day, that's what our jobs are, is to serve them in a way that makes them successful.
Right. How about you, Michael? Anything on reporting that you have a story on that was right away or?
So, with the advancements that the LeafTech team has worked on for this year through the Power BI app and the ability to now put in your own sufficiency numbers, our goal is to empower the user, not to be the people that say what sufficiencies are. And so with that, you have the ability to work with your team and say, listen, when we go to our customers, we think these are good numbers, or our customers say these are good numbers where they need to be with these, the NPK, calcium, magnesium, and down the line. So this report that you'll be able to run very simply will provide you kind of a red to green slider, in a sense. It'll show the ability that says, hey, if my numbers are here, we think that's sufficient. Maybe it's a caution, or maybe it's in the red. And so we really need to look at that. So it's going to be very simple reporting, but easy to understand. And the farmer can even look at it himself. And that's one of the things we're trying to do, is not make that recommendation in a sense a black box where the farmer doesn't understand. We like a consultative approach. We want them to see the numbers and sit there and work. And sometimes, Kristy, they're going to say, Kristy, you know what you're doing, just tell me what to do. That happens, and that's great. But then there's a percentage of them that want to take that, and maybe they'll look at it themselves and say, yeah, let's do this or let's do that because of what I think we need. So a simple report that's easy to export and email out, like you say, on those Fridays or whatever days you do that, will be available to you and your customers.
And I think the eye goes right to the red first, right? So I love that it's an easy read, because there's, it can get so jumbled up, when we're sending out reports. So I love that, because that's the first place they're going, and then they look from there,
Yeah. most of the everybody is visual, and we want to see it, but the numbers just make us go dizzy. We want to see it, and Michael hasn't even seen the report yet. I just got the newest version up today, and we'll release the end of the week. We got, I think I'm really happy with how we've been responsive to what our customers have asked for, and so
Great.
we're really, our team listens. We understand agriculture really well because we are you. And so that's what we're trying to make sure is that decision making and understanding happens very quickly because everybody's making decisions every day.
Yeah.
Almost overloaded with data. We're overloaded with data.
Yes, we
And
are.
and so that's what we're striving to make it easy, and understanding that your boots on the ground are a critical part of understanding that and communicating it with it. Our goal and values revolve around you, and ultimately the farmer has to get the value of this. That's why I
Right.
like our business model, is that we have to earn a spot every year. Because if we don't
Yes.
earn that respect and we don't earn that spot to be there, then we don't need to be there. We don't want to be an ongoing expense that is just because you thought it was going to work. We have to work harder every year to make sure we earn a spot to help you help them.
I love that because that's how I feel we do at Lammers Ag as well. You know, I never take it for granted. We have to be there and show them why, you know, what we're doing to help them
Right.
and be that trusted advisor. So,
And
Yep.
Kristy, with this, I think there can be an engagement with the customer also. You know, you're going to be out there scouting and you've got to get through acres with the number that you're there. But this is also going to give an opportunity for the right situations for the customer, your trusted seed customer, that you're helping take his crop, not just from selling him something in a bag and then coming back and riding a combine and saying, how's it doing? You know, you're very intentional in your methodology with providing the additional value to your customers. And you'll most likely have some farmers say, hey, why don't I go to the field with you and let's take a look at what you're doing with this so that we better understand what we're going to get from it. And I think your customers are going to enjoy that process as you get into the summertime.
yeah, I look forward to that. And even, you know, even folks that aren't doing any business with us, you know, I'm encouraging them, you know, if they watch videos, they watch clips for us. Even if we're not doing business with you this year, call me up and let's go out to your fields. You know, I'm here to help. And that, you know, I wouldn't invest in this tool for our customers at Lammers Ag if I didn't feel like it was of value. So we're going to learn together, and we're going to keep learning year after year on how we're going to get this, you know, to be a tool that we can use.
Well, what it really helps do is that you've got people that'll start on the program, but you can also, when you go out to the field, which this was used a lot this last year, you can go out with the grower and say, I treated this part or I didn't treat this part. You can go out there and show them. Immediate gratification is just so powerful. Let's look at these different plants. There's variance between the plants, not between the data. And you can show them and justify, why are we treating this? Why do we need to do this? Well, these areas, it's justification for why. And what's really that I'm cognizant of, because of other areas I've worked in, we are going to be regulated to justify, why are we putting these nutrients on? Why are we making these practices? And we have to justify our inputs. And so we're going to be, you know, depending on how everything goes, we have to justify, why did we put on an extra 30 pounds of nitrogen? Why did we put this on? Well, here's a time, date stamp piece of the plant telling us what it needed based upon this historical work. And so we're learning so much more on the plant nutrient uptake, and I think we're going to really refine our nutrient use curve and timing, because we didn't kill the plant. We can look and see what's going with it. And that's what's exciting for us and our team, is that we're democratizing the use of information, or the access to information. We don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to do a high density view of a field that we would have had to spend. That is what's kind of fun from my perspective and our team's perspective, is that we're enabling growers to make the right decision based upon the right data. And that's our job, is to give them the best information so they can make a good decision. And data density is so important in a field, because you can't use a dime's worth of soil to tell me how much I need to put on 2.5 acres or 10 acres. It's valuable, but we need to learn. The plants are telling us whether we got it right.
Hey, John, on that, you bring up some interesting ideas there with regards to sampling not being done. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have this underlying issue of people don't do leaf tissue sampling. And one of the common reasons is it's expensive, it takes time, and too often they have to wait for the results to take action. And so you may have heard these comments in the past where someone says, yeah, but if I take those leaf tissue samples and I don't get them back from the weekend to the next week or whatever, they're concerned. They say, well, it's past time. I can't make a decision and do something that potentially I thought I could. So that timeliness to be able to make a decision is what's brought more interest in this technology, where the person thinks that they can make a decision and go forward with it, rather than just doing what they do. And I would say that there's a fairly good percentage of acres now that have a micronutrient pass on them. It gets the free ride with the chemistry or the fungicide. And we kind of say, you know what, we know some things we should put in at this or that time, or we just put in 4 or 5 and we get some what we think sufficiency is. So, but there's a bunch of farmers who haven't done that, and they sometimes wonder if it's the right thing and is it going to pay. And in our current economic times, justifying not just to the government about should we apply or not apply, the farmers trying to justify to themselves that ROI on that application that they're doing. So when we dig into this is not just for this year. Now it's a new thing, and with all new technologies, it's that first year and that wondering. But what we're working on doing, just like when we do soil sampling, the most critical thing about a soil sample is not the given number in a given zone at the now. It's what we're also establishing for understanding where we're at on a potential trend, and are we working at being able to mend the soil and so forth. So tying this with that information 2 and 3 years and getting some history about what we see is important for us, and we'll better understand as we go forward. So we just see this as an important technique that is going to give us another set of numbers to work from, to build on when we make these agronomic decisions.
I agree, because there's many times, that guys have said, hey, can you grab a sample, the leaf, sample? And we're only, we're not close to one, but we're 35 minutes probably from our lab that would be the closest. And then Iowa State is, about an hour and a half, but, figure that in. And then, even for us as a dealer, and I mean, that would be anybody in our area. It wouldn't even just be myself. So, the timing is so crucial, because they'll say exactly that. Well, it's too late. It's too late. And I think the other thing, to your point, Michael and John, both on the micro biology, part, is there's a lot of traditional farming yet here in Iowa. North Central Iowa is where I'm at. Not saying that, there's guys that have tried it. I think it's still question marks about whether those things are profitable. Are they worth my money? No, that's right. That's the biggest thing. And are they providing me, dollars on the backside with yield? How does that all look? And, even myself as a dealer, I've tried different things. And, quite honestly, if you don't see it on the yield chart, and are they doing it right? And is the testing right? And what can I do to verify some of those numbers? It's kind of like, well, maybe we saw something, maybe we didn't, so, we typically have, eight trials / plots that we do here, on our own. So I'm excited to be able to even on our side of it, provide information on things that, I've wanted to trial and even get more data on. Is this worth it for, a farmer to apply, and when, and, working with, our agronomist and channel agronomist and, even our chemistry people with Bayer or, microbiology, whoever, would be down the line that would come in my door, which there's many, as a dealer, what really works, and how do we justify that, even if I sell it or I don't, as a partner with my customers.
Right.
So I'm excited for that, because it just, like you say, a lot of it's question mark in their minds, unless it's on the yield map,
Well, the yield
which I
map,
mean, ultimately we want.
yeah, well, the yield map, but it's also return on that yield.
Right.
And if I was able to achieve it without as much input and targeting those places is really critical. And the overall attitude is we're here to serve them with the best information and the best knowledge that we can, and because that's our job. And that's what's fun about the position. I can't drive a tractor, but I can go. I know how to drive a tractor, but I'm not physically farming right now to do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to do. It's fun to work with. And
I told my husband the other day, I said, well, you'll see me. I said, with this new thing, it'll be about 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. So don't plan to see me this summer. Because, most of my customers, I mean, a little bit about us is our biggest customer, we scout all his fields. So, and he's basically like, they scout my fields. They tell me what's happening. They, and so that's again, a trusted advisor. It's a big trust to put on us. And we're so happy to do that and privileged to do that and be a partner with him. But, these things are just why I'm doing it, is because we want to continue to be that person, that dealership.
Right. And those are the things that are setting you apart in your marketplace as you grow also with your customers, and that service-oriented attitude with bringing this knowledge is important. And so, Kristy, from a NewFields Ag perspective, we bring this technology to you along with our product line and along with Jeremy's good input also. Jeremy is probably a 20-year experienced seed professional. He scouted fields. He knows what hybrids look like and varieties and differences. And then you take, the experience of what our past has been, the owners of NewFields Ag, from farming background, from precision ag, from precision planting, from seed sales. You bring in John's background, 30 years in agronomy, but in the shall we say, the precision ag side, from water management all the way up to this kind of technology, which is totally new in its use. And you look at this, plus your trusted people that you have behind you at Channel Seed, from their experience on the hybrids side. You're really putting together a group of people that help, shall we say, behind you, give that knowledgeable expertise. And, I look at it from my company's perspective when I bring in John, or I bring in one of my fermentators that help me with my biologicals. Those are things, as we kind of maybe joked at the beginning of the conversation offline, where every company can't afford to pay for every expert out there. But when we come together, each doing our own good thing, we get the benefits of all of this, all of these companies and the experts for you to go to and get that information and come back with a better answer, a better situation, a better evaluation, more input. And technically, you've hired us in a different way. You've hired us by being a vendor and a trusted supplier to you. that now helps your customers and gives them more confidence. And the other piece is that when you look at some of these things, it's not just coming from one company. It's coming from multiple companies with these experts of experience. And so, like John said, we're here to help serve the customers, which is yours, but you're also a trusted customer, and we're here to back you up and help you as you go forward.
I'm just really excited because I know my customer base that's exactly why, and the guys are always willing to, partner with me even on trials, and different things that we want to try to look at throughout different seasons. So it's just it's a good combination. So.
Yep. And we appreciate the confidence that you've put out there for us to work with you. And we want to, as I said, our whole culture in our company is we believe we have to earn that every day, and that's through our support. And if you have an issue, we're here to try and answer to the best of our ability and make it available, and all the supporting information and changes that are going on. So, as soon as you guys get your scanner, hit the QR code, and as soon as you hit the QR code, then we go into action of training, scheduling, and all the pieces that go along with it, so that we can help your business utilize this to its fullest extent. And if you're using Field Analytics, I don't know that you are, but we're ready to go to have some fun with that, or what other softwares you're using. You'd like to understand that.